Everyone mentioned today is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and everything I discuss here is theory until proven fact, even if it is. There you go. That's my disclaimer. Hey guys, how you going? Let's get into this. Okay, James Woods said actually no, let's declare a pandemic tribunal and start building gallows. Does anyone remember when the Atlantic posted this? Let's declare a pandemic amnesty. We need to forgive one another for what we did and said when we were in the dark about COVID. No, some of us knew. The media weren't telling anyone the truth, neither were our governments. But some of us knew. Oops, there you go. Nick Sautor said, breaking, President Trump says his ban on third world migration is permanent. We don't want those people. People who aren't friendly to us, like Somalia, we don't want them. Like Somalia, where you have Ilhan Omar going around telling everybody about our constitution, and yet she supposedly came into the country by marrying her brother. They're not good countries, crime-ridden, don't do a good job, don't register for success. We frankly don't need their people. Spot on, 47. Let's have a listen.
Plan to pause asylum.
Oh, it's very quiet.
I think a long time.
Can you give any kind of time? What's
we don't
a long
want those
time?
people. We have enough problems. We don't want those people.
Is that a year, 2 years?
No time limit.
And then
Yeah, and then it could be a long time. You said this, we don't want those people. Do you understand that I understand? Do you... What? Oh, no. Okay, anyway, Trump did say it. Okay. Matt Couch said, anyone else feel this way like me? I want so many people deported that I never have to press one for English again. Wouldn't that be nice? Not having to press one for English. We don't even get that option. We just get someone who you can't understand on the phone. And you don't get an option for you have to ask for someone else. Can you put me through to someone who I can understand? Don't be afraid to say that either. Okay, Rosita Diaz said a school kid just took the Australian government to High Court and he might win. Only in Australia can a government that can't fix housing, can't stop inflation and can't keep the streets safe suddenly decide the real threat is 14-year-olds on Instagram. And now their authoritarian social media ban is officially being dragged into the High Court, not by billion-dollar tech companies, not by political parties, but by school kids who have more backbone than half of Canberra combined. Let that sink in. A generation the government claims to be protecting is standing up and saying no. You don't get to raise us, you don't get to parent us, you don't get to control our speech. This is what happens when governments get addicted to power. They start believing your kids belong to them. They start thinking the state has the right to decide what young Australians see, say, share, learn or question online. And of course, behind the scenes, the same bureaucrats who can't regulate anything properly suddenly want total control of the internet, because censorship has always been the favourite tool of weak leaders. The irony? These students have shown more courage, more clarity and more commitment to freedom than the entire federal front bench. They're not suing for likes, they're not doing it for clout, they're doing it because they understand something the political class forgot. Freedom is a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. This High Court challenge is bigger than social media. It's about who owns your voice. It's about whether the government can decide what platforms you're allowed to use. It's about whether Australia becomes a nation of free citizens or compliant subjects. And the fact that it's young Australians, not MPs, not journalists, not legal elites who are forcing this conversation, that tells you everything you need to know about the state of our democracy. The future generation is waking up and the government isn't ready. What do you think? I think, go guys. Go. Well done. Okay, Lozzie B said we celebrate Christmas in the West. If you're offended by Christmas or any of our customs and traditions, then Western civilization is not for you. Go to an Islamic country. What are you even doing here? And no more of this happy holidays woke crap. We say Merry Christmas here in the West, which we do. We do not say happy holidays, we say Merry Christmas. Listen to this BS. It's going to probably be loud. Let me see if I can get the volume down a little bit before I share it, just in case. Okay, let's have a look. Not even speaking English. I can't understand a word of it. Go home, love. Just go home. Sorry if you can hear noise. I'm adjusting my microphone. Oh, it's not adjusting very well, is it? Okay, Colonel Towner Watkins said CIA coup experts. WAPO, one of CIA Mockingbird's preferred outlets. WAPO, instrumental in every coup attempt against Trump's first term. WAPO uses anonymous sources because it's working with CIA to destabilise and orchestrate a regime change. WAPO vehemently attacks anyone the CIA doesn't have control of in order to delegitimise the official. This agenda's played out all over the world since 1948. Every account on this platform that is using a fake, unverified story to make accusations of illegal orders, murder, etc. are participating knowingly or unknowingly in a regime change, attack on a democratically elected government. No one knows whether the accusations are true or not. What we know for certain is that the WAPO has played a crucial role in each coup attempt against Trump. Normal, sane people would avoid using a discredited media source, but that isn't what's happening, which tells you this is a coordinated regime change effort. It followed a carefully planned video by the CIA agent and her helpers, reminder about illegal orders. A CIA-trained assassin murders a military member in DC. These are operations to destabilise America. You need to know what you're looking at when you're looking at it. Okay? That's what it is. From the inside. Red Eagle Updates said breaking Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard cuts all DEI programs, slashes meaningless conferences, saving millions of dollars. Do you support this? I wish we had it here. Because our stupid politicians now, like their conferences, they spend a lot of taxpayer money on those things. I'm sure they don't do much either. They probably party. Get drunk, God knows what else, do some coke, I don't know. Charlie's Voice Rising said confirmed. The Intelligence Community Inspector General Charles McCulloch III laid out in black and white. Hillary Clinton's homebrew bathroom server wasn't just sloppy, it was loaded with special access program intelligence, some of the most restricted secrets the US government possesses. McCulloch says the intel agencies went through everything and found dozens of emails marked confidential, secret and top secret, SAP, material even more sensitive than top secret. You don't accidentally mishandle that. You don't miss it. Everyone in government knows exactly what SAP means. And here's the kicker. Those classified messages were found in the 30,000 emails she chose to hand over. Why is my computer doing this? That doesn't include the ones she deleted, hid, bleached, bit, smashed, or vanished forever. Court records already show what happens when someone mishandles SAP intel. Former CIA Director David Petraeus was prosecuted for giving similar material to his biographer. His own NDA spelled it out. Leaking or even improperly storing SAP intel can seriously damage the United States or aid a foreign government. Hillary Clinton signed the same exact NDA on January 22nd, 2009, but instead of being charged, Obama's DOJ and FBI were ordered to stand down. Obama acted more like her personal lawyer than a president and pushed out a fabricated ICA narrative to shield her and target Trump. Former CIA Director John Ratcliffe confirmed it. Lisa Page told him under oath that the FBI was instructed by Obama's DOJ to not even consider charging Hillary for gross negligence with classified material. This wasn't incompetence, this was protection, and everybody involved knew it. Remember this?
Same arguments. So that's all I could say. I'm not, I have no idea. That's why we turned it over. What, like with a cloth or something? Well, no.
Remember when they said bleach bit and she said, oh, what, with a cloth or something? Acting dumb. You act dumb, you're not that dumb. We know. Okay, Jim Ferguson said breaking. Tulsi Gabbard just confirmed Obama's central role in the Russiagate coup. Russiagate coup? And more documents are dropping this week. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard just went on Fox News and delivered the most explosive update yet in Obamagate. Tulsi confirmed new documents exposing Barack Obama's involvement will be released this week. Obama personally ordered Clapper to create new intel assessment after Trump won. That assessment contradicted the existing IC findings. Discredited intel, including the Steele dossier, was knowingly used. Whistleblowers from inside the IC are now coming forward. Tulsi's office has already sent all documents to the DOJ for accountability. Her words were absolutely clear. This was the foundation of a years-long coup against President Trump, directed after the election by President Obama. And we have already sent all documents to the Department of Justice to bring about accountability. Obama almost never responds publicly. He responded to this because he knows what's coming. The dam is breaking, the cover-up is collapsing, and for the first time in history, a former president may face real legal consequences for weaponising the intelligence world against the American people. The walls are closing in fast. Let's go. Melissa Red Pill Freedom Force said, President Trump voids Anthony Fauci's pardon as Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard closes in on the link between Fauci's NIAID-funded research and the pandemic. NIH Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya and his HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, who wrote The Real Anthony Fauci, are helping with the investigation. Kelly said, we have never been able to say it was that exact experiment that led to the pandemic. Have we gotten there? Gabbard said, we're working on that and looking forward to being able to share that very soon. The specific link between GOF research and the COVID pandemic. Fauci's in big trouble. HT, Human Perspective, where we go one, we go all, Melissa Red Pill. There you go. It's catching up to them, guys. Just keep watching. Sam Bent said the EU is destroying privacy and exempting police, military, intelligence and EU officials from the scanning. Your messages get monitored, theirs stay private. The UK arrests 30-plus people per day for online speech. Now they're removing jury trials for 90% of eligible defendants. Crazy. They do that here in Australia too. They do not use a jury for a lot of trials. Lara Logan said, if you think we train people like this and then after they are brought into the country, we just forget about them, then you're probably unfamiliar with how this actually works. The CIA has a duty to monitor and track their assets, and we have real counterintelligence forces, not the FBI, who are also meant to protect us. The fact that records show the Afghan shooter's name was repeatedly searched in the hours leading up to the attack tells you this was a planned operation and his co-conspirators, handlers, etc., knew, and they were waiting for the news to break. Is the CIA being investigated? Is Ratcliffe being held to account? Or do they all once again believe we will fall for the obvious false narrative that this guy, like Crooks and Butler, Trump and Tyler Robinson in Utah, Charlie Kirk, acted alone? For the love of God, no thinking person bought any of that for 1 single second. We the people are begging you, Mr. President, use your power to stop the colour revolution currently underway and save this country. You're our last hope. And the skiff said, if you believe the Afghan shooter with confirmed CIA and zero-unit ties was a lone wolf, who's also connected to... Can you move this? Oh, there we go. Get out of the way. Who's also connected to Firebase Gecko, a CIA Special Forces base in Kandahar, you're not paying attention. Just like they told you with Thomas Crooks, Tyler Robinson, Ryan Routh, etc., you're not understanding the bigger coordinated colour revolution happening right now in real time from both foreign and domestic entities. It's time to make America a priority, identify and prosecute traitors in our own government and foreign entities, trying to sabotage and take down our great country. Ramanullah Lakanwal has been part of a zero unit, an Afghan intelligence unit and primarily paramilitary force that worked with the CIA. The units were exclusively composed of Afghan nationals and operated under the umbrella of National Directorate of Security, or NDS, the intelligence agency established with CIA backing for Afghanistan's previous US-backed government. Ramanullah Lakanwal served for 8 years in Afghanistan's 03 unit, officially known as the Kandahar Strike Force. This elite paramilitary unit, one of several CIA-supported Zero units, operated under the National Directorate of Security, NDS, and was trained, equipped and directly commanded by the CIA. The image of the ID badge also carries the words Firebase Gecko, which was the name of a base used by the CIA and Special Forces in Kandahar, in southern Afghanistan, inside what was previously the compound of the Taliban's founding leader, Mullah Muhammad Omar. Regarded by US and coalition forces as among the most capable Afghan partner units, the KSF conducted sensitive counter-terrorism operations, primarily night raids. Human rights organisations have accused these units of extrajudicial killings and labelled them as death squads. Former Afghan commanders, including Lieutenant General Sami Sadat, describe Lakhanwal as professional, responsible and strongly anti-Taliban. No evidence of ties to terrorist organisation has been found, though investigators have not fully excluded the possibility. Due to credible Taliban threats against his family and his service in a high-risk unit, Lakhanwal qualified for priority resettlement in the United States following the 2021 fall of Kabul. Sources indicate he suffered from PTSD and was deeply affected by combat losses and the recent death of a close friend overseas. Oh, that's a great excuse to bring him in. CIA Director John Ratcliffe confirmed that Lakhanwal previously worked with the US government, including the CIA, as a member of a partner force in Kandahar. The greatest threat we face is from within, and it's time to clean house, ladies and gentlemen. I swear to God they use these as excuses. Okay? Threats against the family and his service. Can we see those threats? I'm going to start needing proof of these death threats everyone seems to be getting. But there you go. Paul Azapula said, Governor Tim Walz says he's happy that President Trump insulted his intelligence. Trump was just being honest. Walz is a dumb person. So is his wife. That is why their daughter Hope is such an imbecile. That's why Minnesota's in such bad shape. He's happy that Trump... Yeah, I'm happy that Trump criticised you too.
Look, Donald Trump insulting me is a badge of honor for me, but I think we all know, as both as an educator for a couple decades and as a parent, using that term is just so damaging. It's hurtful. We have fought 3 decades to get this out of our schools.
And that's how they pussified the world. You can't even say words now because they're so detrimental and hurtful that the world has become so pussified. You can't say any words anymore. No, this is ridiculous. Seriously?
Kids know better than to use it. But look, this is what Donald Trump has done. He's normalized this type of hateful behavior and this type of language. And mainly, look, at first I think it's just because he's not a good human being. But secondly, to distract from his incompetency. We know we just came through a Thanksgiving where prices are up. We know people are concerned about heating their homes as we're experiencing blizzards out here at the same time he's cutting those programs. So, look, we cannot allow this to be normalized. The people who, Trump is, like this is language police, you guys are woke. Many times it's just about being decent to people and making them feel included. You can use that word, sure, you can use that language, but you shouldn't. And that's something that Donald Trump fails to realize.
We'll stop when the world's not pussified anymore. Okay, that's when we'll stop using those words. If we do, actually. I don't mind the words. You retard. Okay. I'm a retard sometimes, don't worry about it. Real Robert, here is 5 minutes and 14 seconds of conspiracy, treachery, sedition and treason all captured on videotape. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, responding to Barack Obama as he calls his own treasonous conspiracy to overthrow the United States. Government disinformation. There was a 180 shift from the intelligence community assessments, but not one but two, one leading up to the election and one after the election, to the one that Barack Hussein Obama directed be produced after Donald J. Trump won the 2016 presidential election. DNI Gabbard, the intelligence community had one assessment, that Russia did not have the intent or capability to try and impact the outcome of the US election leading up to Election Day. The same assessment was made after Donald Trump was elected by the American people as president in 2016, defeating Hillary, and it wasn't until after that PDB, President's Daily Brief document that you referenced, that the Principals Committee was called in and in the National Security Council, and Barack Obama then directed his DNI, James Clapper, to lead the effort to create this new intelligence community assessment that detailed not if, but how Moscow attempted to influence the outcome of the US election. So this is the thing that I think people should pay attention to. Neither the message from Obama's office nor the statements coming from Democrats in Congress today and their friends in the propaganda media are addressing this fact, that there was a 180-degree shift from the intelligence community's assessment leading up to the election to the one that Barack Obama directed be produced after Donald Trump won the election. A shift that completely contradicted the assessments that had come previously. Barack Obama's office and those who are trying to deflect away from what actually happened, which was that after Donald Trump was elected, led by Barack Obama, there was an effort to create a document that would serve as the foundation for what would be a treasonous conspiracy to overthrow the United States after the American people sent him to the White House in 2016. Now, sending the United States military for their arrests. CIA John Brennan, DNI Director James Clapper, FBI James Comey, Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, Hillary Clinton, Susan Rice, Loretta Lynch, Sally Yates, Lisa Monaco, Adam Schiff, Peter did Lisa and Lisa did Peter, Bruce Orr, Nellie Orr, Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein, Andrew Weissman, Valerie Jarrett, Ben Rhodes, John Carlin, Mary McCord, James Baker, Jonathan Moffa, Michael Corton, David Loffman, Samantha Power, John Kerry, Dennis McDonough? I don't know even how to say that. Jimmy Rybicki, Bill Priestap, Christopher Steele, Richard Dearlove, Alexander Downer. That's an Australian politician. Alexander Downer. Stephen Halper, Joseph Mifsud, Sergey Millian, Sidney Blumenthal, Cody Shearer, Terry McAuliffe, John Weiner, John Podesta, Human Aberdeen, Anthony Weiner, Cheryl Mills, Heather Samuelson, Jake Sullivan, Robbie Mook, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Peter Kadzik, Rachel Brand, Matthew Axelrod, Mary Jacoby, Preet Bahara, Josh Campbell, Jennifer Palmieri, Sir Andrew Wood, Robert Hannigan, Alexandra Chalupa, Michael Sussman, Dmitry Alperovich, and officials from the DNC, CrowdStrike and Fusion GPS, including Glenn Simpson and Perkins Coie, including Mark Elias, manufactured the Russian collusion conspiracy hoax, a seditious conspiracy with the sole intent to topple the United States government during the 2016 presidential election, and Christopher Wray. Obama's office responds to DNI classified docs. Let's have a listen.
Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Director Gabbard, give me your response to what...
I thought we were going to hear Obama's response. I think I just read all of what she's going to say. I should have just played it. Sorry, guys. Charlie's voice rising, said General Flynn just dropped a wild claim and he didn't sugarcoat it. He said if you dig deep into the origins of the AIDS virus, you'll end up back at the US government. And that the same people who helped create the problems were the ones selling the cure. According to Flynn, the whole pattern looks the same as today. Our own government has been involved in manufacturing diseases, then pushing drugs that don't actually help, exactly like the vaccines we're dealing with now. He also points straight at Fauci, saying he created the HIV drug, AZT, a drug that ended up killing hundreds of thousands of men, which we know, or we've suspected for a long time. Charlie's voice rising said Kristi Noem just dropped a wild accusation. She says Democrats have rounded up 700,000 illegal aliens from across the globe, loaded them onto private jets and flown them into any US city they wanted, all paid for by taxpayers. According to her, they were even put into luxury hotels, given sex change surgeries, free airfare and quietly shuffled from one Democrat-run city to another to dodge law enforcement, including suspects tied to rape, murder and pedophilia. Okay, Peter Lloyd, lol, now Labor's anti-corruption minister, I believe this is in the UK, has been sentenced to 2 years in jail for corruption. MP Tulip Siddiq illegally obtained plots of land from her aunt, the country's former Prime Minister. More proof that female politicians are just as bad as the men. Oh dear. People are starting to get in trouble, guys. I don't know if you've noticed that. Okay, another one from the UK, Basil the Great. Muslim forged security documents for security at Birmingham Airport, avoids jail. Shoaib Lakabal issued 85 certificates approving staff as security who were unfit to do the job. The airport nearly had to shut down as a result. More two-tier justice, and that's what we're seeing all the way through this. Two-tier justice system. For illegals, or, migrants and the elite. And then the rest of us, okay? Eric Doherty said breaking seditious Senator Mark Kelly is now threatening Pete Hegseth with legal consequences after he took out narco-terrorists trying to end countless American lives. He says the military must defy Hegseth's orders again. Court-martial this guy. Enough. Question, is this a war crime? Kelly, it seems to, I've got serious concerns. We are not Russia. We are not Iraq. I'm really troubled. Oh, good on you, mate. I hope they look at him now. US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, child sexual predator. Hung Phi Huang is in ICE custody following his November 20 arrest. This Vietnamese illegal alien's criminal history includes a conviction for lewd, lascivious acts with a child under 14, for which he was sentenced to just 1 year in jail. Need to start holding these judges who give these people light sentences accountable. Maybe give the judge life and the perpetrator maybe capital punishment. It's just my opinion, seriously. Okay, over to Australia here. Craig Kelly Foundation for, they knowingly killed healthy children and they vilified and censored those trying to sound the alarm. This was pure evil. These vaccine fanatics need to be prosecuted and spend a long, long time in jail. Jeffrey A. Tucker said an actual truthful email circulating inside the FDA. Read it and weep. Dear Team CBER, I'm writing to report that OBPV career staff have found that at least 10 children have died after and because of receiving a certain procedure, COVID procedure. These deaths are related to the V, likely, probable, possible attribution made by staff. That number is certainly an underestimate due to underreporting and inherent bias in attribution. The safety signal has far-reaching implications for Americans, the US pandemic response, the agency itself, which I wish to discuss here. I also want to address some frequent objections. Prior to joining the US FDA, the FDA Commissioner closely followed reports of vaccine-induced myocarditis, unlike the COVID virus, which has a steep age gradient, being at least 1,000 times more likely to kill an 80-year-old than an 8-year-old. Myocarditis appeared to have the opposite pattern. Young, healthy boys and men, those least likely to experience bad COVID outcomes, bore the greatest risk. The risk was as high as 200 to 330 per million doses given in the highest risk demographic groups. Notably, the US FDA and CDC were not the first to recognise the safety signal. Instead, the Israelis were, and worse in May of 2021. Then CDC Director Rochelle Walensky stated, "We have not seen a signal and we actually looked intentionally for the signal in the over 200 million doses we've given." Many felt this statement was dishonest and manipulative. The Commissioner, Senior Advisor Tracy Beth Hoeg, MD, PhD, myself and colleagues demonstrated the COVID-19 boosters, the accompanying mandates by colleagues were on balance harmful to young men in a widely discussed peer-reviewed paper in 2022. Like many academic physicians, we felt the FDA and CDC abdicated their duty to the American people. These agencies did not quickly attempt mitigation strategies such as spacing doses apart, lowering the doses, omitting doses among those with prior COVID-19. Worse, the FDA delayed acknowledgement of the safety signal until after it could extend marketing authorisations to younger boys 12 to 15. This is described by the Commissioner and I in JAMA. Had the acknowledgement come early, these younger boys who likely did not require the V may have chosen to avoid the products. In the summer of 2025, Dr. Hogue began investigating VAER's reports of children who had died after administration of the V, the COVID-19 one. By late summer, she had concluded that there were in fact deaths, a fact this agency has never publicly admitted. Dr. Hogue organised a small meeting to discuss these deaths with OVRR and OBPV stakeholders. The slides she presented, emails she sent and distorted first-hand reports were shared with media outlets. The general narrative was that OVRR staff disagreed with Dr. Hogue's assessment that the deaths were due to vaccine receipt. Some staff present who leaked portrayed the incident as Dr. Hogue attempting to create a false fear regarding vaccines. I then asked OBPV to perform detailed analysis of deaths voluntarily reported to VAER's system in full interest of balance. Casualty is easy to assess in a random trial, but with case reports, casualty is typically assessed on a subjective scale. In this scale, ranging from certain to unlikely, certain, possible, likely and probable are broadly considered as related to the product. The team has performed an initial analysis of 96 deaths between 2021 and 2024 and concludes that no fewer than 10 are related. If anything, this represents conservative coding, where vaccines are exculpated rather than indicated in cases of ambiguity. The real number is higher. This is a profound revelation. For the first time, the US FDA will acknowledge that COVID-19 Vs have killed American children. Healthy young children who face tremendously low risk of death were coerced at the behest of the Biden admin via school and work mandates to receive a V that could result in death. In many cases, such mandates were harmful. It is difficult to read cases where kids aged 7 to 16 may be dead as a result of these things. Did the COVID V program kill more healthy kids than it saved? We do not have the reliable data estimating the absolute benefit, absolute risk reduction regarding severe disease and death in healthy children from vaccine receipt. OVRR and OBPV rely on observation, cohort or case control data with notorious methodological biases. FDA has never requested the manufacturers demonstrate in randomised fashion that being children improves these outcomes. The available randomised data in children is deeply limited and broadly negative for symptomatic infection, as discussed in prior AdComs. Furthermore, COVID was never highly lethal for children, and now Miss C has decreased drastically. What? Miss C? And the harms to kids are comparable to many respiratory viruses for which we do not provide annual immunisation. Comparing the number of kids who died from COVID against these deaths would be a flawed comparison. We do not know how many fewer kids would have died had they been vaccinated, and we do not know how many more kids died from taking vaccines than has been voluntarily reported. Instead, the truth is we do not know if we save lives on balance. When it comes to vaccine deaths, VAERS has passively reported it requires a motivated person, often a doctor, to submit the information. The submission process is tedious and most people who start the form give up along the way. Doctors are too busy to play around with the tedious submission process, I'm sure. Many more deaths may be unreported. Yeah, I think definitely. Plus some doctors who aren't well-meaning probably didn't really care and didn't report any because they didn't want to lose the money that they were getting for each one they gave. Many more deaths may be unreported. Finally, the FDA has failed to properly enforce many required post-market commitments for COVID-19 vaccines, including for pregnant women and to document subclinical myocarditis. Putting these facts together is horrifying to consider the US vaccine regulation, including our actions, may have harmed more children than we saved. This requires humility and introspection. Why did it take the FDA Commissioner to identify these deaths? There is no doubt without this FDA Commissioner we would not have performed this investigation and identified this safety concern. This fact also demands serious introspection and reform. Why were these deaths not actively reviewed in real time? Why did it take until 2025 to perform this analysis and take necessary further actions? Deaths were reported between 2021 and 2024 and ignored for years. I suspect the answer is cultural and systemic. I have no doubt that many vaccines have saved millions of lives globally and many have benefits that far exceeded risks. But vaccines are like any other medical product. The right drug given to the right patient at the right time is great, but the same drug can be inappropriately given, causing harm. The same is true for vaccines. The US government's coercive and unethical COVID-19 vaccine mandates in young people may have been harmful. In contrast, there is no doubt that an elderly, immune American benefited from doses 1 and 2 in 2020. The people who might have benefited the most from vaccination were those too old to be affected by workplace mandates, another Biden administration blunder. Does COVID cause more myocarditis than a COVID vaccine? A perennial argument is that COVID-19, the virus, causes more myocarditis than COVID-19 vaccines. In fact, I heard this argument made inside CBER recently when one company submitted their PMC. Here is why that argument is wrong. In order to study how often people have myocarditis after the virus, you'd want to collect everyone who got COVID and see how many get myocarditis. Yet studies on this topic don't do this. They take people who presented to healthcare systems and had COVID-19 and ask how many have myocarditis, but we all know most people who get COVID simply recover at home. People who seek medical care are the sickest ones. These studies use a false denominator. Second, the demographic matters. I have no doubt COVID vaccines were life-saving for an 80-year-old who never had COVID, but should a 20-year-old get his 6th dose this fall? These studies often fail to look at the balance in younger people. Finally, you still get COVID anyway. No amount of COVID vaccine stops a person from getting COVID, so the risk is not virus versus vaccine, it's vaccine versus virus alone. Vaccine plus virus versus virus alone. I'm not aware of any analysis that does this right, and we have performed an empirical review of this fact. Thoughts on CBER staff who are leaking to the media. I have no doubts that individuals who are providing media outlets with slides, emails and personal anecdotes believe they are doing the right thing. Unfortunately, this behaviour is both unethical, illegal, and in this case, illustrates factually incorrect COVID-19 vaccines did result in the death of children. Dr. Hoag was correct in her assessment. Any small differences in, where's the rest of it? Okay. Oh, here. Any small differences in opinion about specific cases are due only to the fact that subjective attribution of death is inherently a topic where reasonable people may have subtle disagreements. But the overall order of magnitude and directionality show concordance between Dr. Hoag and long-time CBER staff. Drs. Gruber and Krause resigned in 2021 as Director and Deputy Director of OVRR. Finally, one fact that must be mentioned is that disagreements by my predecessor and career staff has led to resignations in the past. Drs. Gruber and Krause ran the vaccine division for decades. They resigned over 2 issues. Dr. Marks insisted that annual boosters should be for all people, irrespective of age and risk, while Gruber and Krause preferred a risk-based, evidence-based approach. Don't know where I got support from. And Dr. Marcus pushed through a BLA for the COVID-19 shots, which permitted the Biden administration to administer unethical COVID-19 mandates. As a professor, I agree with Gruber and Krause. Furthermore, there have been prior CBER directors who've held this chair in fundamentally different views. Some have felt the CBER director should override reviewers to approve gene therapies that do not work because of patient demand. When these products later result in post-market deaths, it's difficult to take corrective action. I favour approving products with benefits that exceed risks. Incentive in vaccine making. It is well acknowledged that the FDA does not consider the cost of drugs in our approval decisions, and similarly, it is not our role to lower evidentiary standards or mask safety concerns to create artificial financial incentives to make vaccines. That said, there are unique financial incentives for vaccine markers. Markers or makers? COVID-19 vaccines earned $100 billion globally. The annual US vaccine market is estimated to be over $30 million, projected to pass $50 billion in a decade, and single new vaccine for pregnant women has industry analysts estimating $1 billion a year in annual returns. Additionally, vaccines do not go generic. There is no biosimilar pathway. You can't show your biosimilar vaccine has the same antibody. I can't read that. Something and get approval. This means two things. Companies can expect long tails of earnings, and FDA acknowledges that cell and humoral immunity surrogates are insufficient for genetic approvals, a position I agree with. The fact that we don't offer generic or biosimilar vaccines because no amount of cell or humoral mediated immune surrogates would mean that a product retains efficacy has deeper logical conclusion. How can we accept such endpoints to prove entirely novel products? The pathway forward for CBER, OVRR and OBPV. I want to outline a path forward. Our general approach in CBER will be to direct vaccine regulation towards evidence-based medicine. This means we'll take swift action regarding this new safety concern. We will not be granting marketing authorisation to vaccines in pregnant women based on unproven surrogate endpoints. Any prior promises will be null and void, and we will demand pre-market randomised trials assessing clinical endpoints for most new products. Pneumonia vaccine makers will have to show their products reduced pneumonia, at least in the post-market setting, and not merely generate antibody tillers? Immunogenicity will no longer be used to expand indicated populations. These populations should be included in pre-market RTCs. We will revise the annual flu vaccine framework, which is an evidence-based catastrophe of low-quality evidence, poor surrogate assays and uncertain vaccine effectiveness measured in case control studies with poor methods. We'll reappraise safety and be honest in vaccine labels. I look forward to your thoughts on this. Hang on one sec, guys. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on how to do this better. Sorry, I just had a coughing fit. Additionally, at FDA, we have not been focused on understanding the benefits and harms of giving multiple vaccines at the same time. This is a concern shared by many Americans. The FDA's standards has been to require randomised studies too small to draw any conclusions from, creating a false sense of efficacy and safety. OVRR and OBPV staff will be tasked with writing guidelines to reflect these changes, and the mission of CBER will change to reflect this worldview. Never again will the US FDA Commissioner have to himself find deaths in children for staff to identify it. Vaccines will be treated like all other medication classes, no better or worse than AAV vectors. monoclonal antibodies or antisense oligonucleotides. Insofar as vaccines have third-party benefits, and many do, these will be judged just like drugs may have third-party benefits. A person who takes an appropriate psychiatric medicine may be a better parent or spouse, but this requires data and cannot be assumed. I've seen no evidence that COVID-19 vaccines which do not hold transmission benefit third parties. I have no doubt that MMR vaccines do provide third-party benefits when administrated to high enough fractions of society. Having said this, I remain open to vigorous discussions and debate in these topics, as I have always been. I'm open-minded to modifications or alterations. As you can imagine, I believe these debates should be private, internal to FDA, till they're ready to be made public. I don't endorse selective reporting of our meetings and documents. Whoops. Some staff may not agree with these core principles and operating principles. Please submit your resignation letters to the supervisor and CC my deputy, Catherine Sazama. For those who choose to remain as CBER, I look forward to working with you, learning from you, discussing with you, and interacting with you on our shared mission to elevate vaccine science to 21st century evidence-based medicine. There you go. Holy cow. That was a lot. Okay. Apparently, that's a truthful email circulating inside the FDA. Okay, Elijah Schaefer said Anti-White Watch Australia is putting a white officer in jail for dangerous driving while he was parked. It was all due to racial justice and DEI because he was committing the crime of protecting his community while being white. The Cauldron Pool has stated that a New South Wales police officer has been found guilty of dangerous driving, causing death after an Indigenous teen riding a stolen motorbike collided with the officer's parked vehicle. Let that sink in. A New South Wales police officer has been found guilty of dangerous driving, causing death after an Indigenous teen riding a stolen motorbike collided with the officer's parked vehicle. Oh, what is Australia coming to? What is wrong with these people? Seriously. Paul Azapoulis said AG Pam Bondi said if not for activist judges, National Guard would be in many Democrat-led cities now making peace. The activist judges are purposely making US cities more dangerous. Arrest and jail these judges. They are the enemy of the American people, especially any of them put in during the Biden administration. I'd even look at the Obama administration. You know they're corrupt as. Breaking 911 said breaking. Irana's law takes effect in North Carolina tonight, ending cashless bail for multiple offences and tightening rules on releasing subjects from jail. So they should. Irana is the girl who was killed on the train. Okay, the Patriot Oasis says the DOJ has opened an investigation into how taxpayer dollars ended up funding the Somali terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Whistleblowers say Tim Walsh retaliated against them by threatening their jobs. Tim Walsh should be in jail and Ilhan Omar should be deported. Another one, Tim Young, why is she allowed to be in Congress? She should be in jail. E.L. Yacobi said Rep Rashida Tlaib now calls for Hamas supporters to mobilise and take over America. Oh, a lot of these people need to be arrested, deported. Censored Tube said he gone, love in jail. Oh, what? Oh, these people caught on camera trying to hurt someone for misgendering this person here. I don't know how you're going to shoot a gun with those nails, mate, seriously. Or maybe you can, I don't know. But they're going to love you in jail, mate. McAmius said death penalty, no excuses. The three others also charged should face the death penalty. Jail is simply not enough for these alleged pedo freaks. Australian man charged over alleged international satanic pedo network. A 26-year-old self-styled independent investigative journalist is alleged to have played a leading role in the child abuse ring. Jesus. Look, for child abuse, pedo, you know, there's only one way. I don't think they can be rehabilitated. Okay? Millstones. Millstones around the neck and thrown in the ocean. Or the death penalty, whichever way you want to go, because, I mean, some people might prefer just being, you know, injected with something, you know, or, I don't know, shot, gassed, I don't know, electric chair. Steve Kirsch said someone's going to jail. Suppose people at the CDC knew the COVID vaccine killed people. Instead of informing the public, they covered it up. Is that criminal? Okay, this is someone's asked ChatGPT this question. Suppose people at the CDC knew, so this is not a statement, this is a question. Suppose they knew the COVID vaccine killed people. Instead of informing the public, they covered it up. Is that criminal? The short answer is yes. If government officials knew a medical product was killing people and intentionally hid that information from the public or policymakers, that would be criminal under multiple US laws. The longer answer is below. If officials knew and concealed safety critical harm, which laws apply? To make this concrete, assume the hypothetical as stated. They knew it was causing it. They deliberately concealed the facts. The concealment prevented the public or other officials from acting. Interesting. You need to apply that to Fauci. John Jackson said this was not a riot against ICE yesterday in NYC. This is a rebellion. There is only one way this ends. Lots of people go to jail with a pit stop at the ER, especially if you're doing this. Pushing and shoving does not stop a thing. It certainly does not stop a vehicle. These people are nuts. You idiots. Maybe I should be allowed to just keep going. I don't know. Mario Norful said Trump sabotaged the troops, you go to jail. Trump dropped the illegal nuke nobody saw coming. He quoted the rarely invoked 18 U.S.C. 2387, the law that makes it a felony, up to 10 years in prison for anyone with intent to interfere with, impair or influence the loyalty, morale or discipline of the U.S. military or naval forces. Then he tagged retired Navy Commander Kirk Lippold, the hero skipper of USS Cole, and wrote in all caps, "This is right on point. Do what has to be done." Anyone inside the chain of command, admiral, general, civilian appointee, whoever, who is deliberately tanking morale, pushing political agendas or sabotaging readiness is now on notice. The law has been on the books forever, but no administration has ever threatened to actually use it against senior officers or DOD civilians. Do what has to be done. Let's go. Derek Evans said, breaking right now today, there are 7,169 known illegals sitting in New York City jails. These are criminal illegal aliens who've broken the law and sitting in jail. This includes hundreds of known murderers and sexual predators. New York City refuses to honour the ICE detainers and hand them over. Oh, they're going to get in trouble. Oh, and this is the last one. American Papa Bear said, fun fact of the day, sharks in the Gulf of America are now testing positive for cocaine. It wasn't enough to have cocaine bears, now you have cocaine sharks. Oh dear. Turns out the Trump administration isn't just bombing random boats. The operation is working. Keep going. Oh no, we've got more. C3, obviously this was 2 days ago, 22 states do not want to send their SNAP data to the Trump administration to verify immigration status. 21 of the 22 have Democrat governors. Now, why do you think they're resisting? Because the fraud in the SNAP data is staggering. Illegals are getting it. Millions of them. And Shabos Kestenbaum said, Harvard University faculty sponsored a rally at the site of the Boston Marathon bombing calling for a global intifada. I'm urging the Trump administration stop negotiating with Harvard, make the federal funding freeze permanent by taking it all the way to the Supreme Court. Oh, here we go. Libs of TikTok. 21 states plus DC sue the Trump admin over changes to SNAP benefits for migrants. But I thought the migrants weren't receiving SNAP benefits. Interesting, isn't it? Oh, dear, how they put their foot deep in their mouth. Oh, and this one as well. Breaking, the Trump administration has now halted 2 million asylum claims in the wake of the Afghan attack on the National Guardsmen. Good. Most of them should be cancelled entirely and sent home. And breaking, the X account exposing Tim Walz being complicit in massive fraud was just suspended on X. Why? Last night, their post got millions of views, blowing the whistle on Tim's pro-fraud activities as governor. The group is run by current MN Department of Human Services employees critical of Walz. What's going on? He's responsible 100% for the massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim know of the fraud early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping it, but no, we get the opposite response. He retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring, threats, repression, and did his best to discredit fraud reports. Instead of partnership, we got the full weight of retaliation by Tim Walz, certain DFL members, and different mainstream media. It's scary, isolating, and left us wondering who we can turn to. Wow. This is a cascade of systemic failures leading up to Tim Walz. Agency leaders appointed by Tim Walz willfully disregard rules and laws to keep fraud reports quiet, even to the extent of threatening families of whistleblowers. These same leaders are not qualified for their jobs, instead getting leadership jobs via Tim Walz's friendship to state government were left floundering. DFL lawmakers refused to acknowledge fraud and deflected any serious conversation to stop fraud. Biased mainstream media such as WCCO and NPR showed absolutely no interest in covering fraud happening in our state. Programs, especially in behavioural health and disability services, were built without any guardrails against fraud, all in an attempt to extract more funding from legislature and the federal government. I believe a lot of them are invented that way. Wow. So the X account that was exposing Tim Walz got suspended on X. So what's going on, Elon Musk, hey? Are there still lefties working there? Okay. And I'm going to leave it there for today, guys. Okay, let me know what you think about all this down below. I always look forward to your comments. And someone asked me yesterday what the CIA was complicit in. Well, a lot of stuff, including a lot of these, I believe, a lot of these shooters. But hey, that's just my opinion, okay? And you'll also probably see some other videos that I'm going to try and cut some of the subjects from this video and upload them as well. So if you see a short video, it's probably going to be part of this video. Unless you want to watch both, it's up to you. Okay, guys, much love, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.